This show is sponsored by HiveMind CRM. It is more than just a CRM. It is a real estate and business mastermind that comes with an all-in-one CRM. You can have unlimited websites and users. You can call, text, RVM, and email all in one user interface. And you can set up custom automations for any type and multiple businesses. 65% of companies start using a CRM system within the first 5 years of business. Once implemented, the HiveMind will save you on marketing, give you more time, and make more money. One of our users had his first $100,000 month using our system in June. We want to see you automate and accelerate your business. Text us at 210-972-1842 for future meetings and, of course, to get our $1 course on how to make more than 6 figures on one land deal. You can schedule your free demo today at hivemindcrm.io.
Welcome to the Wholesaler podcast. This is episode 225. Well, we have a special guest today. If you all are here today, that means you got the flyer, moved some marketing out there, and you're here today. So we appreciate you coming out today. And if you're listening to this later, I'm not live. Definitely appreciate you joining us. We do have a special guest today, Mr. Steve Trang. I met Steve Trang over 3 years ago for the first time, but I found him through the Real Estate Disruptors podcast. And it has been an amazing, interesting journey since then, since I met Mr. Steve Trang. But we might cover that, we might not. But appreciate everybody coming on. Here's Mr. Steve Trang. And of course, I have my partner, Anthony, as well as co-hosting. Boom. There we go. So how you doing today?
Fellas?
How you doing today, Steve?
I'm doing great. I'm doing good.
So we're going to hop right into it. Because we're not going to ask you what your backstory is, because everybody should know that. Like, you've been doing this for a long time. There's another video and other videos like that. So we're going to skip right over the fluff. What does your business look like today is the number one question.
I guess the question, right? At a high level, we got multiple businesses going on, right? So we got, we just shut down our brokerage last month. So we do have our title company still. I'm still a licensed realtor, right? So we moved everyone in our brokerage over to Real. We have a wholesale company. We have our education company. We are starting up our media company. Started a Certainty company, which revolves a lot around blockchain. So when you say what does my business look like today, I mean, we have an army and they're all conquering their own different sections.
That's amazing idea. I think that's kind of what I was interested in this question is because we want to know what your real estate company looks like today at this point. Because I imagine, with the amount of lead flow, deal flow that you have, first of all, how do you onboard, a heavy amount of deal flow? And then how are you structured as far as is it just like a typical brokerage? I know you said you moved everybody over to Real. So if you want to talk about that, that's amazing. I've been watching that business model for a while.
Talking about the brokerage, the traditional side? I mean, the traditional side, it's not what it used to be. Back a few years ago, we used to do like 100 deals a year. But these days, I mean, it's slowed down quite a bit. I mean, I'd be shocked if I was doing more than 15 deals a year. And the deals we're doing are straight like referral or like coming from our leads, right? Our cash, calling for cash offers. So I'll probably say it's around 15 deals. It's not as sexy as it once was because it's not been a focus. It's been kind of like whatever fell into place is kind of what goes over there.
And so what is it now? A lot of investor type deals?
No, it's predominantly still motivated sellers, not as distressed, but people that, want to sell their house, but they don't want a cash offer. And one of the ways we'll pivot is to a listing. So, if it goes that direction, we pivot to a listing agent, have them list it as listed for us.
Mm-hmm.
What's really cool is that you've kind of pivoted out of real estate. So you're kind of not even doing real estate anymore. It's a side job, but that's kind of about entrepreneurship. It kind of goes in different directions and it flowers,
Yeah, I mean, for a long time, I kind of knew I wasn't ever really passionate about real estate. Right? I was really passionate about what I could do with real estate. I look at real estate like a vehicle for entrepreneurship. So I've always been an entrepreneur. The joke I've said for a long time is I love everything about real estate except for houses and people. So it was just a vehicle to express my entrepreneurial spirit. And real estate's a super high margin business, so it works. It's a lot more forgiving for mistakes and everything else. So that's the reason why I'm in real estate. I love serving people. I love helping people, but I don't like, dealing with complaints on a regular basis. So I'm where I need to be in my business so I can still help people without having to deal with the day-to-day irritations.
What does your day-to-day look like right now, Steve? So what is your main focus then as far as business and entrepreneurship goes? And then how are you working with people and leveraging people?
My day-to-day is predominantly running the leaders, right? Like working within the leaders. So, we do a lot of level 10 meetings. So on Monday, we have a level 10 meeting for the leadership team, which is the owners or the leaders of all the companies, right? So 9 a.m. every Monday, it's a leadership meeting with the leaders of all the companies. And then 10:30, we would do it for the wholesale company. And then 12 o'clock, we're running for the education company, right? Oh, yeah, I forgot. That was the other company, right? Education company. So on Mondays, we have 3 level 10 meetings. And then after that, I do our coaching calls, right? We have people in our coaching program, our mentorship program. So that's Monday. Tuesday, I have a couple of coaching calls. Wednesday is podcast day, is my favorite day of the week. And now Thursday and Friday, we have podcasts as well. We have Part in the Disruption we added for Thursdays and Certainty Talks on Fridays. But I would say a bulk of my time is dealt meeting with the leaders and helping them grow the companies and giving them the support that they need.
So you said on the education company, is that real estate education?
It's sales training. So we focus predominantly on sales. So we focus on, how to have a conversation with the homeowner from the moment they call in, or even when you're cold calling them, from the moment you cold call them until you close escrow. I think the conversation is so important. So we focus a lot on that. And then we are in the process of potentially branching out into sales management training because, it's great for all these hustlers that are getting sales, right? They're closing deals and so on. But at some point, you don't want to be doing the sales anymore, and you want to have salespeople. And I love my salespeople, but I hate managing them. And so we're rolling out a program where we're going to teach people how to identify great salespeople, how to onboard them, how to train them, how to manage them, and ultimately how to retain them. Because how many people have you talked to who've got great salespeople that become their competitor? So that's something that we're looking to grow into.
Can you tell us a little bit about that? Like, I don't know if you care to share the cost right now. What does somebody get? Is it regular meetings? Is it hourly? Is it like modules? Do they kind of like go through themselves or weekly meetings?
So right now at a very high level, because we're still kind of like feeling this out. So at a very, very high level, because we haven't talked about it publicly, right? I posted about it on Facebook like 3 weeks ago, and that's like the only thing I talked about it. So at a very high level, they'll be coming to one of our live events in my office in Tempe, Arizona. And then from there, they're going to be meeting with us at least twice a month in a group setting for probably 6 months, because we're going to be talking about, again, like how to find how to be able to clearly articulate your company's purpose, but then also how to identify their purpose, what keeps them motivated, how to keep them geared towards hitting their metrics. Because a lot of times when I have to say, Daniel, why aren't you hitting your numbers? It's like very odd, uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
But if we can just modify, it's like, hey, Daniel, I remember when we first met, it was really important to you. I mean, this is going to be personal here. It's like, hey, Dan, I remember when we first met, it was really important to you to get out of your trucking business, right? I know you've got some credit card debt and you want to be able to, your wife is expecting, you want to eventually have a bigger family. And these are all things you said you wanted to do. And so like, what do we need to do for you to hit these metrics, or what do we need to do so that you can hit those goals financially? And in knowing that, like, what do we need to do on a daily basis, weekly basis for you to hit that? And then the conversation will be like, hey, Daniel, like, when we first met at the interview, you were saying these are things that are important to you. Like, are these things still important to you? What hurdles can I lift out of your way so that you can be able to consistently hit these metrics so that you can hit your goals? So, those kinds of things, helping people build out a robust sales training program or enjoy a robust sales training program so that they can run a sales organization that's not reliant on them, which is kind of what we all run into accidentally.
I think that's what a lot of people miss in this business, especially in real estate, is like you get good at it on your own. Then you figure out, hey, I'm going to run out of time, right? If I don't start like bringing on some help, and then you bring on the help, like you said, and then you end up training your competition, and then it whittles down again, and then you start over again. So it's like,
it's a turnstile, right? Like having a sales team is a turnstile. And if we could at least slow down the turnstile, instead of getting 6 months out of a person, get 2 years out of a person, and we don't regret them leaving, right? Like that's cool. We've taught them a valuable skill and they're going off to do amazing things. It's just, if we can get 24 months out of them instead of 6 months out of them, like what would our business look like?
Yeah. It's a weird concept, but you got to hold on and keep the sales trainers. Even 2 years, that's such a good thing. I actually have a code. If anybody's interested in this, you can actually text 210-972-1842. Just text Disruptors if you're interested in that. I put it in the chat. There it is. Look at that. That's Disruptors. So I made an automation for that. But I kind of want to pivot into the podcast. What has been the biggest value you have received from doing the podcast for so long? So it's been like 3 years now or 4 years since the podcast came
It's
out.
been more than 4 years. I would say the biggest thing is probably the disproportionate credibility. I get way more credit than I think I deserve. If I can compare it, it's kind of like if you were a published author in the 80s or you were like a best-selling author in the 90s, people are like, oh my God, we got to get this person, right? So now having a podcast that, ranks well within iTunes, depending on the week, we're in top 20. So I think having that gives us a lot of credibility, credit, and, people want to do business with us, collaborate with us. I have a lot of opportunities that I have a really hard time saying no to. I do, because of all the opportunities that come along. So I think we get a lot of undue credit, undeserved credit, but I'm not going to reject it, right? I mean, it's like
You put in the work for 5 years,
Yeah. So we get the benefit of it. I'm going to take advantage of it, but I do feel like it's probably more credit than I deserve.
It was Daniel's idea for us to start doing a podcast, and I tried to avoid it because I didn't want more meetings. But he talked me into it, and now we've been running with it, and I kind of get some of that same effect now. As people are bringing us stuff and sharing things with us that maybe that they otherwise wouldn't share, or people meet you and then they feel like they already know you, right? Because they've been binge watching your videos, like I binge watched yours. So that is pretty cool, man. That has been exciting.
Yeah, you get that top of mind consciousness at all times.
That's nice. Man.
I know recently, and it's probably been a couple months now, but you said you hit 1 million downloads. Has that hit 2 million yet? Because I know it snowballs really quick.
We haven't, but we're at 80. We just passed 80,000 downloads a month. So like last week I posted like, hey, we finally cracked 70,000. We just cracked 80,000 downloads a month, So I don't know if we're at 2 million yet, but I do know we're at 2 million views on YouTube. We just passed that recently. So yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't know what's going on, but people are more interested in our content right now than ever before. I don't know if it's because of the way the algorithms have changed. Maybe we've changed our thumbnails, our titles. But I think one of the things that's helped a lot is that because we've got a wide spectrum of content, the things that are popping right now are like Leon Johnson's creative finance episode, investor lift, brewer method. So like tools that are really necessary to survive today. People are watching that because it's more relevant today. So even though we recorded it a long time ago, those episodes are popping right now. And I think because people are freaking out and trying to figure out other disposition strategies.
So I really want to get your opinion on this. So I've seen so many people blow up just by creating content. So I can't read this quote is that you build your infamy off the content you produce. What's your opinion on that statement right there? Because I think like it's so pivotal on the just producing content, because there's always people there to consume in general.
Yeah, I think that's probably the single most important activity of everything else we do. For a long time, prospecting was the single most important activity, right? How long I was on the phones, calling people, following up. So prospecting, and then followed up with running sales appointments, right? Whether it's a buyer appointment, seller appointment, whatever, but running appointments, these are income generating activities. And those are the most valuable use of our time. Today, the single best use of my time is creating content. And again, I have all these companies, and all these companies are fed as a byproduct of all the content we create. So I think that if anyone is opposed to creating content, that's fine. Just know that you're leaving a lot on the table. And it doesn't have to be money, right? You could be leaving options on the table. You could be leaving opportunity costs. You could be leaving relationships. There are a lot of things that happen because we're regularly creating content that may not happen. I mean, right now, it's not official yet, but we're kind of on the way of maybe being on the Rich Dad Poor Dad podcast, right? Ooh. Like that definitely doesn't happen if we're not creating content. So, the doors it opens and everything else is just, why would you not do it? If you know without a doubt it's going to create more opportunity for you in your life, why would you not do that?
Really quick about Rich Dad Poor Dad. We actually met Rich Dad Latino, so we're trying to go the Spanish route. We're going the same direction.
Who's that?
Me and Anthony. We're both Spanish speakers.
I know, but who's Rich Dad Anthony? Who's Rich Dad Latino?
Ruben Mata. So I actually met him here in LA. He lives here in LA. And we're trying to do more. We're trying to create more content in Spanish. And that's the angle we're trying to push towards this year and next year, is starting to
That's awesome.
Real estate content in Spanish.
That's very cool.
Go ahead, Anthony. Sorry. I just wanted to interject right there.
Hey, so what kind of opportunities have arisen? Like, how do you quantify it? Like you said, it leads to a lot of opportunities. I guess lots of notoriety, but what's the most quantifiable, I guess, thing that you can measure, like based on the content you're producing. So where's the value of it? Where's the return? What are you seeing the most of?
I mean, you guys have a service, right? You guys have a CRM. I have a sales training program, right? I mean, I have a lot of students. I have a lot of people. I mean, Daniel came through our mentorship at one point, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I would say you can directly track revenue that may not have come if not for social media. Just created a Whale Club 2 months ago, and this for me, it could potentially be my single biggest lever. We're trying to start a $10 million fund in the blockchain world, right? But using that, we are trying to be notorious, right? You're saying infamous for the people that are talking blockchain and real estate. Mm-hmm. And that conversation doesn't happen, again, if I'm not creating content around blockchain and real estate. There's other people talking about blockchain and real estate. I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
But because I'm one of them, I am uniquely blessed to have some opportunities that have been open for me that literally cost me nothing to get involved. And there's just nothing but upside. I'm talking like ridiculous upside at no risk.
Can you talk about that company a little bit, or what the business model looks like, or not yet? Is it too early?
That one, it's just we got a 506. I want to say 506C Reg D. We're raising capital from people that are interested in investing in blockchain that don't have the slightest clue about it. They're too busy, right? But they see the upside, they see the potential, and anyone that want to invest in that, they can park money with us. They have to be an accredited investor, right? We're not taking people that 2,000, 5,000, whatever. But if you're an accredited investor and you are comfortable investing 100,000 with us, then what we're going to do is we're going to invest it and we're going to triple your money. And after you triple your money, we pay you back. If you want to do it again, great. But that's the avenue for someone that wants to invest with us. And by the way, I'm not the brains behind that operation. I'm a student. I'm investigating it. I'm testing but I'm making sure it makes sense, right? It's checking all my boxes for me. So I believe in it. I believe in the project. So, if anyone that's interested in investing in it, they can invest with us. And again, that's an opportunity that I wouldn't have if I wasn't out there creating content around, right, real estate and blockchain, right? I mean, you look at this. This is an NFT I bought at the beginning of this year, which, by the way, has crashed in value, right? I mean, it was I won't say it's a total bust, but it was a pretty big loss. But at the same time, if I didn't do that, right, if I'm not out there testing, learning, becoming not a subject matter expert, but someone that's competent and knowledgeable, these opportunities do not open up.
Amazing, man. So just to make sure I'm clear on the business model, so they, I guess, invest in a token of some sort or coin. So they're parking their cash as like a fund.
You're parking it in a fund, and then we're going to invest the money from the fund into a decentralized exchange.
Oh, okay. I thought you were investing it into real estate. So this is going into.
That's eventually going to happen, but that's not a 2022 goal. That's a 2023 goal.
Gotcha. Amazing, man. Yeah, I would definitely like more information on that, because we talked about that I think a year ago or more, and we're just an idea. So if you're running with something, we might like to follow. Oh
yeah, I mean, again, right? Opportunities. We're having active conversation with someone who's already figured out how to tokenize real estate. They've already, not only have they figured out how to do it, they've gotten it past the SEC, they've gotten it past FINRA, right? They've gone through legal. So like everyone's talking about, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we tokenized real estate? It's been done, right? Yeah. But I'm having conversations with these guys again because I did this thing, which again was not a great investment, but was an opportunity for me to learn a lot. And because I'm out there learning it, applying it, talking about it, these doors open. So again, these doors don't open if I am quietly doing it, but I'm doing it, creating content around it. I get some mockery from it, which is fine because I got super thick skin. So I don't mind if people are laughing at me, right? Because again, I recognize the opportunities that lie ahead.
One of the biggest things that I like about what you said is that it's you're like, I lost on this one. It was a bad deal, but other opportunity presented itself where I'm really gonna make money on it. But a lot of people are afraid to lose money on certain things. I'm like, man, sometimes you gotta bet all in. Money comes and goes. You gotta make some changes.
So this NFT right here, right? I bought it for $142,000, right? That's what I bought it for earlier this year. I could probably sell it today for like $18,000, maybe. I don't know, somewhere around there, right? But I knew when I bought it that I didn't care if I lost all of it, because the relationships, the experiences, the opportunities was going to pay for itself. So I was already bought into blockchain before I bought this thing, right? So if I buy this and it break even, then I'm ahead, right? Like that was my mindset going into it. This is a loss I was ready to accept. to learn about it, for an opportunity to create content, to be not a thought leader, because I'm not a thought leader, but someone that's just creating content around it. You just never know what's going to happen. And like I said, right now, I'm in active conversations with guys that already figured out how to tokenize real estate. I'm a partner in a fund. Like it's just ridiculous, these opportunities that are available to us.
That's amazing, man. It sounds like you're heading in a direction that we just dreamed of. So yeah, we would definitely like to probably follow you in there. Can you give out the name or any of that stuff yet, or are you not ready for release yet?
For the fund, there's an actual quality name for it, but we're just calling it the Whale Club.
Like that.
You go to blockchainwhales.com. You'll find out more about it. So Whale Club for that. And then as far as the tokenization, we're in negotiations with that company to figure out how we're going to work together.
Okay. Cool, man. Super interested in that space. Yeah, we thought we were going to be the ones that create it, but why reinvent the wheel?
We're so far behind. Like when I started talking to them about what they figured out, and like the fact that not only have they gotten past legal, but they've gotten past the SEC. Okay, like they are far ahead of us.
Yeah, it sounds like a couple $100,000 and a couple years ahead.
Yep.
I was trying to put the Whale Club link down there. Hold on, type it. But
blockchainwhales.com. It's not it's simple. Blockchainwhales.com.
Blockchainwhales.com. All right. So you've interviewed a lot of people, and one of the benefits you get from interviewing high-level guests is you get high-level answers. So can you think of the top 3 lessons you learned from your high-level guests that we can condense in this episode? Because that's the benefit of bringing somebody who's interviewed somebody. That many
top 3 lessons I learned from the guests, or top 3 like observations by interviewing these people?
Both. I mean, that's both good answers.
All right. So top 3 lessons, I would say probably from Leon Johnson. One thing he talked about is everyone that when they retire, and he's like 60 plus, if not 70 plus, their regret is they didn't hold on to more properties. Everyone that's at the tail end of their career is like, man, if I just held on to all those properties for the last 30, 40, 50 years, where would I be? Right. So I would say from that, and it sounds really simple, right? Like I wish I could do that today, but if you really wanted to, you could probably find a way to keep a few more of your properties. So I would say that's probably one. Number 2, Haim, he talks about, he's very clear on his purpose. We all get into this business to spend more time with our family. Yeah. And then the first thing we do when we get into the business is stop spending time with our family. So he's very clear, right, on why he got into the business. And he's very intentional. Like he gets to pick up his kids every day after school. Like how many of us said we want to spend more time with our families, but are actually picking up our kids after school? So that's number 2. Let's see. Number 3. I would say probably just the power of collaboration. It might sound like, man, Steve's got 7 businesses. He's in a really good spot. But you got Ryan Pineda, right? Who's been on my show multiple times. He's in a much better spot. So I think the power of collaboration, partnerships, and, making sure you're creating the relationships with the right people. And I think Ryan has done that better than anybody else. He's got all these businesses. He's got partners on all these businesses, right? I have all these businesses, but I don't really have partners in all these businesses. And the result is he's got much more leverage, and he's made it a lot further in a much shorter period of time. So I would say that's probably a 3rd lesson. And as far as observations, grit, I think, is one of the most underrated, or things that we don't talk about a lot, but persistence, the desire to keep going after you get crushed. Like bad things happen to us as business owners, really negative things that like, can be, maybe you need to drink a little bit more, right? Or whatever. I actually, last Friday, I don't very often do this. I mean, it's probably the 2nd time I've done it in my career, but like on Friday, I was like, I'm going to the casino. I'm going to play cards. Like I just had a really rough week. I'm just going to play some cards, right? That was last Friday. So I would say grit, the ability to continue when things, seem tough. B, let's see, the obsession. Everyone that I've had on the show has been obsessed with their craft, right? Maybe not obsessed with wholesaling. Most of them were. But if they weren't obsessed with wholesaling, they were obsessed with business and entrepreneurship. So I would say obsession is probably the 2nd one. And 3rd, I would say that a lot of them are resourceful, and part of that resourcefulness may come from coaching. I think that everyone that's had a lot of success, none of them figured it out themselves. None of them, right? All of them had someone mentor them somewhere along the way. Paid mentorship or not, I think most of them were. But if they weren't paid, then they learned by working from somebody. So I think they were all mentored. I would say probably our top 3 observations.
And that's something that I've been talking a lot about lately, is that, I think there really is no one key to entrepreneurship. You just got to be able to take a lot of punishment. You got to be able to take a lot of pain, right? Lots of rejection, lots of like rebuilding yourself. So one day you're on top of the world. You feel like from here on out, it's going to be easy. And the next week you're crushed. So that's something that.
No, you're going to keep suffering. Right? That's just reality. Because the alternative is you don't keep suffering, is you can stay where you're at, be complacent, and then watch someone else younger pass you by. So you're gonna have to keep going and keep growing, and as part of the price of growing is suffering. So
I think that's it, right? You're always growing into a new person. So I've been wanting to launch this version of HiveMind called Hive Health, and we're talking about like how do top performers, entrepreneurs, people that are doing amazing. What do you do for self-care, for like personal? So like when you need to unwind, you mentioned playing cards, but is there any other kind of like rituals or like health things that you have that help you like reset your nervous system or heal your body to keep you in the game longer, mentally, physically?
no, not really. I think that in some ways I'm kind of broken. I don't process stress most other people do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a stressful week last week, but for the most part, I'm a pretty positive person.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't really, take a lot of, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mental anguish.
Yeah, I don't take a lot of mental anguish, right? Everything's a learning opportunity. And you hear that a lot from a lot of people, but I truly believe that. I truly take everything as a learning opportunity. It's like, okay, I learned that and let's move on, right? Like learn a lesson, don't do that again.
You just got nerves still at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I think I've been that way my whole life. I think that part of my personality, I'm not saying this is the right way or the wrong way, but a personality or a character attribute I have is infinite risk tolerance, right? And I think with infinite risk tolerance comes, taking losses like it's no big deal. Like I said, I planned, like if this thing went to zero, like I'm going to be fine. Like I had that going into it, So I think that with that, I don't require as much self-care. Now, what I do on a regular basis is, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 5:30 a.m. I'm playing basketball, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays at 5:30 a.m. I'm at the gym working out. So I don't do that necessarily for self-care. Mm-hmm. I do enjoy playing basketball, but I do it predominantly to stay in shape because we do need to be healthy if we're going to be, successful and be able to be around long enough to, not only play with the kids, but play with the grandkids and hopefully live old enough to give wisdom to our great grandkids, So that's my goal. That's my aspiration. So in order to do all those things, I need to be healthy. So I work out.
Yeah, I think that's kind of my goal too, man. If not, I feel the mental stress more if I'm not in the gym, multiple times per week. Yeah, I feel like it's easier to get stressed, easier to get bogged down, and then you're beating yourself up instead of letting the business, beat you up.
Yeah.
It was kind of crazy because the first time I met Steve, he's like, "Oh, we're gonna run the mile at the park. Come meet us here at 6 a.m." And I'm like, "Let's go!" Like, all right, I'll show up. I definitely was not at pace with them, but they smoked. But luckily, those other people there that weren't as fast as Steve here because Steve was running.
I wasn't fast. I've just been doing it for a while.
So do you run often?
No, I hate it. So yeah, well, once I found a 5:30 basketball crew, I stopped running, right? Because I enjoy basketball and I hate running. So once I found a group of people that play basketball at 5:30 in the morning, I just started doing that.
Yeah, I'm like, give me a barbell, give me some rings, give me a pull-up bar or something. But just running is just brutal. I'm just not interested, at all.
Yeah.
Today there was a lot of running at CrossFit, and it was just miserable. Brought my daughter with me, and we were both just like, I hate this.
Yeah, I'd definitely rather be sitting home, eating donuts, whatever. But it's not gonna lead to a lot of positive success.
Yeah. One thing I was going to ask about, man, because I feel like you're the kind of guy, right? You're a great dad, and I think you might think about stuff like this. What do you do as far as like legacy is concerned? Like, what kind of things should a person have in place? As far as like, do you have any tips on that? Like, as far as like a living trust, or how you might plan to like hand off your assets when the time comes?
So everything we have is in a family trust, and the goal is to be able to pass off that trust to our kids. We want to take advantage of, I can't remember the term right now, but basically we can depreciate all our assets and we can pass it on to them at full market value at no taxes, right? So that's the loophole that I fully plan on taking advantage of. Mm-hmm. So that's my plan. But as far as legacy, really what's the most important thing to me is not the money or the wealth, because they can squander it. I mean, you see it happen all the time, right? Like money doesn't last past 3 generations. For me, the single most important thing is that I create a family where all my kids, all 3 of my girls, are happy, well-adjusted human beings that are contributing citizens to society, right? If I can create that would be far more important than giving them money, right? Because money doesn't do anything. Wealth doesn't do anything if you don't know what to do with it. So for me, I want well-adjusted, happy, successful kids. And if they're not wealthy, but they're happy and well-adjusted, as a father, that's good enough for me.
Heck yeah, dude, I agree, man. So I started taking my oldest daughter to the gym with me too, because I just want to like build up a little bit of mental toughness, confidence, that kind of stuff. Any parenting tips, man? I see you posting some stuff on Facebook from time to time, but what can you share with us dads out there that are trying to balance our lives between entrepreneurship and being a good dad? Like, is there something you do to go out of your way to help them grow that or develop that part of themselves?
So every morning I dropped them off at school every single morning, and we listen to Darren Daily on the way there, right? And they hate it, but they're learning the lessons and they're learning the language. So every morning we listen to Darren Daily, and they have to summarize what they learned from that lesson, because if they don't, we watch it again. So now they get it right the first time. And after that, they can listen to whatever music they want. That's every day. Tuesdays and Wednesdays, I pick them up early, go to Kung Fu, go to piano. And then I don't do this nearly often enough, but I like to ask them over dinner, what are they grateful for today? And what did they do that was outside their comfort zone today? You know, so I want to hear those two things. Again, I don't do that enough, but the other thing I do is I am very intentional to make sure that I'm not on my phone all the time when I'm at home. So I want to give them at least 30 minutes to an hour every night of quality time where I'm not distracted from my phone. So when we're at the dinner table, phone is not on the table. So they're not allowed to have their iPads on the table. I'm not allowed to have my phone on the table. So uninterrupted dinner every night.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, that's a tough one. Like trying to get disconnected. So yeah, I'll make sure the same thing. If we go out, movies, dinner, everything, phone staying in the truck or staying at home. Yes, I do try to have that uninterrupted eye contact, that kind of stuff. And same thing for them, like no phones, no iPads, all that. Man. That's amazing. I think that's pretty powerful. And I think a lot of people aren't even thinking about that right now. We're just so used to it. There's 5 people at the table and everybody's like, weird.
Oh, it's so depressing, right? Like I'm going out to dinner and I'm watching like these teenagers or young adults on dates, and they're on the phones all the time. Like, what are you learning about the other person? So yeah. Different world we're living in.
What is a quote that you resonate with?
The one I love the most still is Zig Ziglar. The one I live by is, you can have anything in life you want so long as you help enough other people get in life what they want. That one for me, for business. And another one, I actually just talked to my daughter about this the other day, was Henry Ford, right? Like the man who believes he can, the man who believes he can't are both right. So I have a mind of infinite possibilities. So I have infinite options. The guys that are victims, well, they're going to keep getting victimized. Mm-hmm. That's just the story of life. So I think that one probably more relevant today than before.
There's a quote, something like that too. I'm terrible at quotes, but it says something like the people that are always giving, they always have to give. And then the people that need are always needing, or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, you get what you give. That's the truth.
What is the impact you're trying to make on the world? What's like the end goal? Do you have like an end goal in mind? There's like the next step of like how much impact do I want to make? Because I think a lot of people, when you get to a certain point, you're just trying to make an impact after that point. Mm-hmm. And what's that? Is it like a step of like, hey, if I make this much impact, we're doing certain things that are just like immeasurable to you, in your opinion?
I don't think you can quantify it, really. I mean, I put out there 100 millionaires, and I'm pretty confident that we've created 100 millionaires. We've only been able to validate 11 because we require people to prove that they're a millionaire before giving them the plaques. But for me, so my history, right? Like my grandparents fled China because of communism, right? Like that was a real thing. And then they fled to Vietnam, and my parents fled Vietnam because of communism, right? And so for me, I am a red-blooded capitalist, right? I'm an entrepreneur through and through. Amen. I'm all about results. And so for me, one thing I want to do is create another generation, right? Or support another generation of entrepreneurs, people that don't fit in the regular, school criteria and so on. Like they want to live a life where it's on their terms. And so for me, I want to create a vision, a path for entrepreneurship, because my family has experienced what socialism does twice, right? So I am very anti-socialist. I am very much a red-blooded capitalist. And so for me, my goal for impact is to create more entrepreneurs, because the more entrepreneurs we create, the better off we're going to be as a society.
That's beautiful, man. That's kind of my cure. Is like, we got to spread the news. Like once I figured out how to make a good amount of money in land, I'm like, I'm teaching everybody. My dad's like, are you sure you want to teach your secrets? I'm like, damn right. I'm going to tell everybody.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah.
Hell yeah, dude. Hey, Steven, do you have any kind of spiritual practice at all? Meditation?
Spiritual?
Yeah.
No. I probably should, but no. Really.
I made you like a meditator or something. Wake up in the morning.
No, I used to, right? I used to do the meditation, affirmations, the vision board, and everything else. And really, what works for me is just being surrounded by people that are doing big things. And so it keeps me motivated. You know, they say that comparison is a thief of joy. You hear that a lot. For me, comparison just shows me what's possible. And once I see it as a possibility, then I can decide whether I want to do it, whether I want to pursue it, whether I want to dedicate resources to it. So for me, I think just being in a mastermind full of people that are kicking your butt is the best thing for me mentally, because it motivates me, inspires me. And then again, I get to decide. That's the key we all have to remember, right? Take a step back and decide, is this something I want to pursue? 10 years ago, I was pursuing it right away at all costs. Now I slow down and figure out this is something I want in my life.
It comes with that wisdom.
Yeah.
Hey,
you screw up enough times.
What's that?
You screw up enough times.
Yeah, that's what it is. I said I'm not smarter than anybody. I just hit my head on more stuff than everybody else.
Yep. Yeah, that's that old Buddhist saying, right? Or Shaolin monk saying, is that it's not that I'm better than you, it's just I failed more than you. I failed more than you tried.
Yeah, that's what I feel like. I failed at so many businesses and so many things, man. My friends used to make fun of me. They're like, you fail at everything. You always try something. You're always trying to get rich quick. And I'm like, I'm just relentless. I wasn't trying to get rich quick. I'm just never going to give up. Like you said, like
you only need one to pop. You only need one to pop.
It's got to be right once.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey.
So I think we have this question. So what is something that you would tell your younger self when you started entrepreneurship to kind of that you struggled with early on, that you're like, man, I was stupid for doing that, but I'm glad I kind of felt forward. Like, what's a shortcut you can give or tell yourself to maybe collaborate sooner? I don't know. Start a podcast sooner.
Yeah, I mean, I would say probably this isn't the most helpful answer, but I wish I was better at understanding how to use other people's money. Because when I started in 2007, this is when the market was going down, right? And I met a bunch of hard money lenders who were lending at 18%. And what did I do, right? Because I'm really smart and everything else. I completely dismissed it. I was like, 18%? No one's stupid enough to borrow money 18%, right? If I had the wherewithal to understand how to use other people's money, I could have bought a lot of real estate at that time, because there were a lot of houses that were going for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 that are now worth $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, right? So like, if I just had the wherewithal to understand that borrowing 18% is not a stupid decision, right? Because I'm too focused on the percentage versus the cash flow principle. Like if I buy a house for $30,000 at 18%, that's $300 now. That's $450 a month. But I can rent it for $600 a month. Like, how ridiculously dumb was I? But back then, it was a stupid financial decision to borrow 18%, so I dismissed it entirely. And man, who knows where I'd be right now?
Wow, yeah, just buying free real estate with other people's money all day, every day.
Yeah.
I'm just getting to that point myself right now where more people are starting to offer us more capital. So this is like we have more capital than deals right now. So we're trying to get better at deal finding, opportunity finding. Do you have any advice or tips for people right now in today's market? You know, we're heading into uncertain waters right now. You've already been through this before, it sounds like.
Yeah, I think that the key here is to not try to figure out yourself. I think the key here is surround yourself with the right people. I've been through one of these, but I haven't been through two of these, right? And so Eddie Speed is someone I look up to, and you know, he and I are potentially collaborating, right? He's been through like 3 or 4 of these, right? So I think you don't have to do this alone, right? Find someone that's done it. I'm not going to say the old thing, right? Well, go and find them and add value, because I think adding value is one of those things that everyone says, but
it's Shay now, yeah.
It's, how do I put it? It's not enough, right? If I say, hey, Anthony, how can I add value to you? Hey, Daniel, how can I add value to you? Not really helpful, right? But if I say, hey, Daniel, you know, or Anthony, I just heard you say you do the land. It's like, hey, Anthony, I've got this parcel of land just outside of Bakersfield. Would you be interested in taking a look at it?
Yes.
You're calling me back, right? I'm adding value here because I know what you're looking for, right? So if I know what you're looking for, then I can go see if I can add value for you versus, hey, Anthony, how can I add value to you? Like, I don't know. So
that's a great distinction. Yeah. Knowing what the person wants in the first place instead of saying, hey, I'm just offering help. Like, well, what specifically? What area?
Right.
I like that, man. That's dope. So you talked about connecting with the right people. You talked about mentorship, being in masterminds. Who are your mentors right now?
Yeah, I got a lot right now. I mean, Eric Brewer, great friend, mentor. he's helped me out of some difficult situations, like talking things through. Gary Harper, I think everyone knows who he is. Larry Ash, that's a Navy SEAL. He's coaching my whole team on leadership. Dan Nicholson, Nick Peterson, Paul Sparks. These are all the guys that are my partners in the fund. Right? These guys are super smart on certainty. Let's see what else there is. And really, I would say the leaders of my organization, because they really surprised me of how much they've grown and stepped up, and like they provide really valuable input. You know, I'm trying to lead the company, but they're leaders in their own right that they don't really need me anymore, which is pretty cool. So I would say my team as well.
That's amazing, man. Go ahead, Daniel. What?
No, I was going to say, empowering your leaders. A lot of people think that, like, oh, nobody does it as bad as me, as good as I do. But you got to empower your leaders just to step back and let them flourish and grow and mess up and learn their way through it.
I mean, my goal is to be irrelevant, right? If I could just spend all day creating content, right, then I could just do the lead gen stuff and they can just run it without me. Like, how powerful would we be if they didn't need me at all, and all I could do was just do the single one most important prospecting activity, which is creating content. If I could do that all day and they could run the company smoothly, how far could we go? I think the opportunities are boundless.
Yeah, that's about where my office is right now. I have my sister as my main admin, then I have Elizabeth. She's like my number one acquisitions person, and then my guy Evan here. He's like super at numbers, like Daniel is. So they really only bring me for like high level negotiations, creative stuff, you know, those kinds of things. So I'm like trying to extract myself. I just need to teach them just a little bit more.
Well, I think the question is, right, it's not teach them a little bit more. It's how can they learn a little bit more, right?
Oh, I feel like they're going to pass me up sooner or later. Yeah.
Well, that's great, though. Like, I used to be afraid of that, but that's great, right? So if you have to teach them, right, they're going to keep relying on you. But if they can figure out how to do this without you, right, you can ask the questions, you can provide the input, but if they can do this, figure it out more, and you become irrelevant, then life is great.
So one thing I saw on Twitter the other day is that a great teacher is when the student passes you up because they've taught them all their knowledge and they were able to build upon that and surpass them because that means they're a great teacher. So yeah. I think it's really good that you're trying to teach your people to become self-sufficient and even grow past the point where you are, and they're doing things more efficiently than you are, and they can to take the business to the next level. And as long as you have that business ability of leadership, even from behind the scenes, you can build a great organization.
Yep.
Infinite.
Yeah. I mean, my goal, right, is just they just need 10 to 15 minutes from me a week. If we can get to that point, pretty solid.
I'm working on that one too. I don't know if you know this, man. So my mentor is named Ryan McDonald. He's my main real estate mentor, and who's actually partners with Logan Fulmer, who was on your show.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. Super smart dudes.
Yeah, so just being around them since the beginning of my career has like accelerated me into the future. Yeah. So,
I bet for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping my team is feeling the effects too. But yeah, man, pretty good little group that we have here, man.
Yep.
So really appreciate your time. Sales training, I highly recommend Steve studying sales training. I went through it. I still use some of his strategies, and I don't necessarily push it out myself. I'm like, I learned this from Steve Trang. If you want to I still use some of his techniques in some of my conversations, because now as you incoherently created leaders around you, just the impact you made, now I'm teaching other people to do the same thing. So it's kind of a snowball effect that I hope you feel for generations. You know, it's kind of cool.
Absolutely. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool to see, see the stuff that we're putting out there and seeing it impacting people. Seeing I think Ryan sent that message like, hey, I'll let you know, like, I became a millionaire watching your podcast. I know you never heard of me, but thank you. It's like, man, that's like a pretty cool message. So
yeah. You definitely are making waves, man, for sure. Yeah, like I said,
I have a special bonus for you. So with the hive mind we created, we've had 13 clients hit 6-figure months, and we're creating millionaires too. So it's a sub layer of creating millionaires. So I hope you receive that benefit as well.
Oh yeah, 100%. That's. I mean, again, right? Like that's like I'm sure the impact we've created, we probably created over 100. We just can't prove more than 11.
Yeah. I'm gonna send.
What do you got to do to pull it up? Do you need like liquid cash or like assets that are paid off? Where do you hit $1 million?
I need something signed off by your CPA. Says that I am Anthony's accountant, and I can verify that his net worth exceeds $1 million.
Okay, and then also, like, what about for the show? What are the requirements for the show? Is it $100 a month?
$1 million a year.
$1 million a year. Okay, cool, man. We're coming for you. I think we'll be ready for you by next year.
Perfect. I would love it. I would love to see that.
We
And I
might, hit, we might hit $1 million this year in HiveMind.
Yeah, HiveMind's
That's
about
phenomenal.
to do $1 million in revenue. Yeah, just on the software.
That's incredible. Good job, guys.
We want our plaque, bro. We want our plaque. It's not going to have my name or Daniel's name. It's going to say HiveMind on it.
It's got to be individual. I'm sorry. Individual.
I guess next year then.
All right, dude, we appreciate you, man. This was awesome. I think it's cool to take a deeper dive with you because a lot of like stuff you hear about real estate on these conversations. So to get a little bit better snapshot of who you are as a person, man, we super appreciate you, man. This was really fun.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate it. I think hopefully, the people that are watching are getting value from it. And I know I'm not the most exciting person on the planet, but hopefully I can get you guys, have a different perspective on some ideas.
You're changing the world, man. You're changing a lot of lives. Yeah, we appreciate you.
We appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. I hope you all enjoyed the episode. Please go like, subscribe, check it out on the channels. Check out the Real Estate Disruptors podcast on all platforms too. And if you're interested in Steve's sales training, you can text 210-972-1842. Just text Disruptors. Definitely check it out. We appreciate you, Steve. Thanks to everybody listening. Have a great day, guys.
Thank you.
The show is sponsored by The List Guys. Do you need more leads in your local or virtual market? 1 in 10 small businesses don't invest in any kind of marketing. The List Guys have over 35 plus list types to choose from, and you can mix and match any list or criteria. We also use the skip trace list and provide up to 7 numbers and email addresses. Every list you purchase will be scrubbed against previous purchases. The List Guys are here to save you time. Contact the List Guys today at www.onelistguys.com. That's www.1listguys.com.